Hey, what's up? I'm Chris.
I'm Ben from Blackstone Cherry.
And you're listening and watching Linea Rock.
Welcome Ben and welcome Chris of Blackstone Cherry to Milan and to Linea Rock. Welcome back.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so the new album Kentucky, the 5th chapter of your discography, is coming out on April 1st and you're already on tour. So basically you never stopped. You're absolutely tireless, non-stop working schedule since I don't want to say 10 years because you've been around 10 years, but 5 years basically you've been around non-stop. Is that correct?
Pretty much. I mean, we started coming over in 2007 as far as, coming to Europe, and it's been non-stop since then. So, I mean, 8 years, I guess.
Yeah.
No, what year is it?
Is it still cool?
9 years. Yeah, no, we love it. We love it.
So how can you present the new album? Is it still a rock jam made of loud guitars and powerful drumming with deep narrative poetry as you're used to, or is this something new?
In a way, it's new because we got to do this album on our own. We self-produced this album, so we've never really been able to do that. So that by that aspect, it's new. But if anything, I think it's more true to what we are as a band than we've put out in the past, because of that reason alone. We were kind of left alone to do the album like we wanted to do it. So it's a lot of guitars, bass, drums, really up front, in your face for the most part. And of course, there's a few songs on there that are a little more, ballad-like. And we love those songs as well. There's so many different sides of the band, and we had to showcase it. I think this album we really got to showcase, obviously the hard rock part, but the softer side, and then even the kind of funky soul side that we haven't been able to do in the past.
And in which way is it dedicated to your beloved country, Kentucky?
I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily dedicated to Kentucky, but it's just kind of like it was our first time going back home to record since our debut, and then all the musicians on it are from the local area in Kentucky back home, and I don't know, the house on the cover is our practice house back home in Kentucky, and everything about it just kind of screamed Kentucky, from the way we wrote the songs to the sound of the songs to everything, and it was the right title, I guess.
I noticed that there's a darker mood in the lyrics, especially of this album. Do you want to say something about it? Titles like Hangman or...
No, it's...
What's funny about it is...
They all end up in a positive light.
Yeah.
I mean, even Hangman, Hangman, Way of the Future, Darkest Secret, all these songs that
Born to Die.
Born to Die.
Yeah.
They're all, the title is reflective of the song, obviously, but all the songs shed a positive light in some way or somehow. Like, they all end on a high note. And I mean, we've seen a lot of shit in 10 years, you know what I mean? So
they are dark, but we're not the kind of band that just leaves it on a dark note, because we've overcome. That's what we do. We've been lucky enough to overcome different obstacles thus far. But they're really positive songs. That's the cool thing about it. All those songs, every song on the album is a positive song in some way, shape, or form.
You built a strong fan base, and your success in the charts was quite immediate. Do you think that coming from a small, dry county like Kentucky pushed your burning desire of actually making it and conquer the world, even if it's still maybe the place that you call home and that you feel comfortable in?
I think if we would have been from a bigger city or really just anywhere else, even a city 45 miles east of us, that it would have changed the way we sounded, because we would have been competing with all the other bands to play, you know, the local bars or whatever, and having to kind of, you know, mold your sound for what everyone else was doing. But for us, there was nobody else around. I mean, there were a few bands, but none of the bands sounded the same. And I think that's what's always made it unique around back home, is like, you have all kinds of different bands, but none of us want to sound like each other. You know, nobody's competing to be the first band that sounds that way. Everybody just kind of does what they do, and it comes out as what it is. You know, I mean, like,
It's
for us,
very natural.
yeah. I mean, if we'd have come from New York or even Nashville or LA, I don't think we would have ever gotten as far as we have.
Yeah.
And every time you come back home in Edmonton, it's a celebration like the very first time you went on the road and came back. I mean, are you
Now that
heroes in your in your city? Is that
When we first started touring, when we first put out our album, you know, it was like a big circus, you know, the local store at home, and opened up extra late to, you know, sell the first album, and they still do stuff like that, you know. It's still an excitement thing, but I think people are a little more used to us now. But what's cool
They
is
see us at Walmart too many times now to get excited.
they see us around the grocery store too much. But what's cool is there's a lot of younger fans now that we're gaining around home that haven't met us yet. So that's really neat. You know, it's cool to see that maybe some of the fans that were younger in 2006 when our first album came out are out of high school now.
yeah?
Hell, some of them weren't even born yet.
Yeah, maybe some of them even have kids now, and then they're like, hey, you know, these guys, he just got a guitar for Christmas, and he loves you guys because y'all are from here and you're inspiring. So that's cool. And you do see that. It's really neat.
That make you feel like heroes, or you still, you know, down to earth?
I wouldn't say heroes, but it does make you feel appreciated. You know, to know that people back home are proud of you, and that, you know, that you're cool enough that they tell their kids about you. You know, going to high school and stuff. So that's always awesome.
Are you already testing some of the new songs in the live set?
We've been playing 2 songs live. We've been doing In Our Dreams, which is the current single.
Yeah.
And then we've actually been doing The Rambler, which is the last song on the record. And they couldn't be more opposite as far as songs go. It's the heaviest song on the record and the softest song on the record. But it works, and it's been going over great live every night.
Yeah. We want to do more. It'll be fun to do more, but once the album comes out and we come back, people are more familiar, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to give them too much too early. You know, they won't know the song yet, you know.
Yeah.
So 2 is enough right now.
All right. And will you go on tour after the record is released? I mean, this is going to be non-stop once again?
We finish this tour up on the 28th, and then we go home the last day of the month. And then we're home all of March, and then after that we're pretty much on the road the rest of the year.
Yeah. In Our Dreams, that you just mentioned, has a very strong video, which is also very current and up to date. Did you do it as you did for the record yourselves? I mean, the script, everything is your idea, or?
You know, I mean,
the majority of it came from the director, Kyle. But we did help. You know, we had some ideas that we wanted to see in there and stuff. But he sent in a great, you know, treatment, is what we call them back home, for the video, with a vision he had for what the song portrayed, and he nailed it, and we loved it.
yeah.
So we kind of went with his idea and just gave him a few tweaks for it.
Yeah. It's the first time we've had a video that's really played into what the song is. You know, a lot of times a video would just be maybe a performance video or something, which is fun and it's cool because, you know, people like to see us, you know, on video. But this time we had some, you know, extra actors and things like that, and we've never been able to do that before. It was really neat. I think that's why people are liking this one so much.
I think it's the coolest video we've done since Long Tree.
It's almost like a mini movie in a way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And you just changed from Roadrunner Records to Mascot. How did it happen, and was that done in peace terms?
Yeah, it was mostly peaceful. we spent 9 years with Roadrunner, almost 10, and we had a great relationship with it. You know, we built a great thing here. It was just kind of a mutual agreement that it was time to move on for both of us. And fortunately, we found a great home for us that gave us the freedom and control to do the things we wanted to with Mascot. And we couldn't be happier to be with anyone else. Mascot is like the perfect home for us.
Is it a long deal? I mean, like for how many records with them?
The Mascot deal?
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
We know we got one. So.
Yeah.
Okay. The credits, the writing credits in your songs usually mention the entire group. And if there's any, just the single names of outside writers. Is that a choice, a sort of pact that you made between you guys since the beginning, or is it exactly how it goes and actually you compose as a band?
No, that's the way it is. We write all the songs together, and we've always been 4 equal members of the band as far as everything goes. I mean, from being on the contract, it's all 4 of us, to the merchandise is all 4 of us, to the songwriting. It's all 4 of us, and we all 4 are equal in it.
Okay. You have a unique way, very personal, to combine your rootsy and heart and soul kind of appeal with a modern alternative rock sound. How did you work on this style since the beginning? Is it a natural thing, or it's the result of some conceived process, in a sense, looking for something new that there wasn't around?
I think it's just who we are.
It's definitely not conceived.
No, it's just the way we are. I mean, we're just honest people, and
we're influenced by so many different types of music, and we love to rock. That's the core of what we do. But in that, there's so many different things, and it goes back to us being from a small area, kind of just being able to do what we want to do, not having to fit into any form of music scene, and it kind of allowed us to develop our own sound, our own little unique style.
And it's really unique. It is, because every time you surprise, every time a new record of Black Stone Cherry comes out, you know what you're getting, but it also surprises you. So this is something that it's not so usual also in the business, because there's a lot of substance, but it's fresh as well, and you know what you're listening to, but it's still,
thank you.
You have a trademark, which is something, and a big character. I heard you, Chris, are a lot into recording techniques. That you dig to be in the studio and put hands, and I saw also some videos where you're suggesting things also to the producer. Is that something that you developed in the last few years since you're playing with Black Stone Cherry, and that helped the band some way, or mainly do you prefer to have an outside producer in complete charge of the job?
I think for us, this is our 5th record, and we've had producers on every record until this one.
Different ones.
Yeah, but we use a different producer every time. And this time we just wanted to produce it ourselves. Like, the guy in the videos from this album is just, he's an engineer.
All right.
That ended up he ended up being the executive producer, because he had a couple cool ideas. But, like, I've always loved, like we all have, being hands-on in the studio and voicing our opinions, and we've always done that. So we've always had a hand in the producing, but we just never got the credit for it until now. But I think for us, we found out on this record what works best for us in the studio, and that's us being a huge part of it. From the picking the microphones to sitting down and talking about parts once they're recorded and seeing if the parts are right. Just basically being in control of our own music is the best thing that we could have done, and I think that's what we'll continue to do from here on out.
And how was the experience in the past, with different producers every time? Is that something that brought you to the choice, of doing it yourself, or just because now you're more confident and know what to do?
I just think that the biggest thing for us was, after 10 years of putting out albums, we kind of, not to sound cocky, but we kind of know what we want to do and know what we need to sound like.
And know how to do it.
Yeah, and we know how to do it now, so why spend hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
to have a guy come in the room and
Okay.
only be there for the vocals and the drums.
Yeah.
You know, so it was just a decision on our part to, you know, go in and do it the way we wanted to without anybody telling us how to do it.
So you said you compose as a band, but you come up always with such, you know, great guitar riffs. Are those riffs the foundation for your songwriting process, and do you always compose on guitar, or it's just, you know, a sensation that your music is?
99% of the time, it starts with a guitar riff that one of us have. Because like the riff has always been the thing with us. Is you know, you get a big guitar riff.
That's the starting point.
Yeah, pretty much every time. I don't think we've ever written a song that was like a chorus first.
No, it's never usually. Very seldom will it be lyrics or melody, because we're a musical band, you know, and that once the music is there, we know what direction the song can go in, you know, and we just we just get off on the music, on the riff, and you know, and if there's a cool rhythm pattern between the drums and the guitar, that's the kind of stuff that we get into, and we know our fans like as well. So that's how it usually happens first. It's always music, guitar.
How many guitars do you own, and do you have, both of you, a favorite one to work with that maybe changes between the live set and the studio recording?
As far as how many guitars I own, I would say somewhere between 20 and 30.
Wow, that's a good number.
And I've got 6 over here, I think, right now. And most of mine are Paul Reed Smith. That's what I play. I play their guitars and amps.
You have also your own signature model?
No.
Not yet?
Not yet. Not yet. But and then I've got a Les Paul that my dad gave me when I was 17 when we opened for Ted Nugent, and that guitar will always have a spot.
Which year is that?
It's
guitar?
88.
Oh yeah.
1988 Tobacco Burst.
Yeah.
And I've that guitar will always be with me. And then I've got some acoustic guitars that my grandpa built. That's what he used to do. He built guitars and mandolins.
So you told me between 20 and 30 just electric guitars, and then you have in home.
The acoustics, I've got 3 that my grandpa built and a mandolin. So, you know, probably around 30 to 35 total of everything I have. But
your favorite one?
That's hard. My wife actually bought me one for Christmas. That's been my favorite on this run.
All right.
So it's my current favorite.
Okay.
But she got in touch with the guy that I deal with at PRS and had a guitar put together for me for Christmas. So it's been my favorite one so far.
For you, Ben?
I haven't counted an inventory in a while.
Okay.
I'm of the mindset you can never have too many. I probably got maybe close to 40.
Wow.
Acoustic and electric.
Okay.
I don't know about a favorite one either because it's hard, you know.
Oh, Bill, you know what's your favorite?
My favorite Les Paul is my first Les Paul that I own, and I used to tour with it. I use it on every album, and it's at home right now. And it's just a Les Paul classic, and that's my favorite model of Les Paul. It's because it was my first one, and I don't have to change anything. It comes stock. I love the pickups, the neck. That's probably my favorite one.
And while recording, do you like pick a different guitar, you know, depending on the mood of the song, or basically you stick with one guitar and sometimes you add parts with others?
I think we normally have our main
guitar,
main rhythm guitar that's the base of the track, and then you might have to put a baritone. You know, well, for us we had to put, you know, we used a PRS baritone on a few of the songs on this album that were tuned down to B and even down to A, and certain parts of a song might call for a Telecaster or a Gretsch, you know, that kind of a sound. But the foundation was just the Les Paul and then the Paul Reed Smith.
And how do you, Chris and Ben, usually share and split guitar parts in the studio? Is something that you decide before, or it happens, you know, while recording?
Generally, the way we work is if there's any acoustic stuff on a record, Ben plays all of that.
Okay.
I can play acoustic, but I'm not fluent with it.
All right.
I got really big hands and it's awkward.
I think we just know each other's strengths
Yeah.
and each other's weaknesses, and we've playing guitar for so long with each other that we just kind of know that's what that person's
That comes
duty
natural.
is, you know.
Okay.
Ben does all the real intricate picking parts.
And all the solos, you know, it's all Chris. So we just kind of know that. But you know, all the foundation of the music, the riffs, and all the guitars, as far as that stuff goes, is both
of us.
both Chris and I. It's not one guy playing the chorus and one guy playing the intro.
Okay.
It's on both of us on one side.
If you listen, most of the time Ben's on the right side and I'm on the left.
Okay. Did you change your gear a lot since the first album in 2006? And how is it set up right now?
On the first album, I was playing a Les Paul and an SG, and I was playing it through an old. I had a 1973 Marshall 50-watt head and a matching cabinet, and that's what I used on the first album. And then I played PV amps for a long time. They're great amps. And then I switched over to Paul Reed Smith amps. Well, I switched to their guitars because I would always play Gibsons and Fenders mainly up until 2011. Then I got hooked up with PRS and just fell in love with their guitars, and that's what I use now. And then I switched to their amps in 2014. So I've been playing PRS guitars and amps now for 2 years, and the guitars for 5 years. That didn't seem like it's been that long.
No.
And then pretty much every pedal on my board comes from Dunlop or MXR. We endorse those guys as well, and they make amazing stuff.
Yeah.
For you?
I used, with the exception of a couple different guitars, the main rhythm sound on this album was exactly what I used on the first album.
Okay, exactly the same.
Yeah.
Also amps,
It was a
everything.
PD5150 and my Les Paul.
Okay. And concerning the solos, that you, Chris, are pretty much the man for those.
I do most of them. Now, don't let him fool you. He
Okay.
comes in there and kicks some ass on some stuff every now
All
and then.
right, but is it something you prepare, or is something that comes, while you're recording?
I've never sat down and tried to write a solo for a song. I just basically, because I don't understand music theory. Like if someone asked me to play them an E minor or E major scale, I have no idea how to do it. I really don't. Everything I play on guitar, I learned by ear basically. When I was 13, I started playing guitar. So I've been playing it'll be 18 years this year. Because I'll be 31 and I got my first guitar on my 13th birthday. And my dad showed me how to make all my standard chords, and then he showed me how to make a bar chord, and that if I raised up my finger, it would be a minor chord instead of a major. And then he proceeded to tell me, if you want to be good at this, you'll learn the rest of it on your own. That's what I did. And my dad is an amazing guitar player.
Yeah.
And he handed me a stack of LPs. It was everything from Black Sabbath to Ted Nugent to AC/DC to Leonard Skinner, and I just sat with the records, mountain records. I just sat and listened to them until I figured it out. If I get really stuck on something, he would help me sometimes. But I learned by ear, and I remember reading an interview one time with Tony Iommi, and they asked him if he wrote his solos before he went to the studio or if he just played, kind of off the cuff. And I remember he said he just played until it sounded cool.
Okay.
And that stuck with me. And that's what I've always tried to do. I mean, Jimi Hendrix is my favorite guitar player ever. So I try to, try to get yourself in the right mindset. You listen to a lot of stuff before you go in the studio. And I don't know, I play till it sounds cool. And I'll tell you a funny story is the first track on the record, The Way of the Future. I played probably 20 solos and got pissed off, and I was like, fuck this, I'm not doing it. Ben, come play the solo. So Ben, you took about 10 or 15 passes?
Yeah.
And
it's a hard riff to solo over. That's the thing, it's different.
And Ben was like, dude, he's like, I'm drawing blanks here too. And we were almost about to cut the solo out and just do something different. I was like, fuck it, I'll try it one more time. And I went in and I think I played one pass, and it was like, okay, you're on to something now. And I played one more pass after taking, a 20-30 minute break, and that's the solo on the record. It just, sometimes you got to walk away from it and get pissed off and come back and just grab the guitar and forget the outside world and play. But it ended up being one of my favorite solos on the album.
Right. And for you, Ben, did you learn by ear as well, or do you have a different story?
I took lessons when I was really little growing up, and I learned, like Twinkle Little Star and Camptown Racetracks, things like that. And I learned some Elvis songs because I would take them in because I love Elvis. But, yeah. But when I really got into guitar, I'm the same way. Like, a lot of it was just trial and error, I didn't know how to detune a guitar when I first started.
Funny story about that is when John and I had been playing together for about, I don't know, being serious with it for about 3 months, I guess, whenever Ben came along. And I didn't know how to play in drop D. I didn't, because if Ben came down and he's like, man, let's play in drop D, and I'm like, I don't know what drop D is, man. Because my dad's like, my dad's kind of like purist when it comes to guitar. He's like standard tuning and no wah-wah and, just plug into the amp. And I'm like, holy shit, this drop D stuff is awesome, man. But yeah, Ben taught me how to play in drop D, so.
A lot of it was just figuring out as you go along,
And guitar-wise, how has your sound grown album by album, in your opinion? Or as we said before, the trick, is to still remain fresh while maintaining your strong identity and direction.
Every guitar you pick up, in my opinion, you're going to play a little different than you did the one before. Because every guitar has a personality. I don't care if it's a $100 guitar or a $10,000 guitar. They're all going to have a personality. I think for us, Ben figured out what worked for him right day one pretty much of the first album. And for me, I've always kind of gone back and forth. And I think the first time I've ever been 100% satisfied with the sound of my guitar and the playing is on this record. All the records are great, and I'm really proud of all of them. But I think this is the first time I've ever been like, that's exactly what I wanted, from the guitar aspect of a record. And there's stuff I listen to now and I go back and I'm like, shit, I wish I'd have done that a little different. But as far as just the sound and the vibe, I think I finally got it together now with the amps and the guitars I'm using, and it's all finally kind of come together for me.
So this is the best guitar-oriented album that you've done so far, in your opinion?
I think
Kentucky?
It is.
It's definitely the most riff-oriented and I think creative riff-wise too.
Yeah. I think it's my best solo work too.
Yeah. The sounds are good. The tones are good. There's some cool. The effects that we did use are cool and they're unique. And really proud of it.
And which is the best guitar-oriented album of all times, in your opinion? Maybe it was in that box that you mentioned.
I'll tell you what, I'll narrow it down to a song, in my opinion.
Okay.
The greatest guitar song of all time is the Jimi Hendrix version of All Along the Watchtower.
Okay.
To me, dude, I've got a tattoo.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, the book of how to play rock and roll guitar was written when Jimmy did that version of that song. And it's hands down the greatest guitar song of all time, in my opinion. So for me, there you have it.
For you, Ben?
Yeah, that's hard. I think I can say the essentials. If you want to play the electric guitar, you have to start with Jimi Hendrix. That's just
The guy was a fucking alien.
That's just where it's at. He is the king of the electric guitar.
Yeah.
And then you have to listen to Leonard Skinner because they had 3 guitar players all playing solos at the same time doing different things. And that's a great example of how 3 guitar players can work together and make one sound.
Then you got Aerosmith, man.
You got Aerosmith. You got one guy that's super technical that can, knows the theory, and then one guy that's arguably, kind of like Jimmy Page, maybe a little sloppy, but he's a stylist.
Yeah.
So those things are important, because they're 2 diverse players, but they work, and for me that's just important to know.
What is more important, to have a style and a personality, or to know what you're doing, or both things combined?
I think it's all about the person and what they want to accomplish.
Yeah. For me personally,
for us, it's just about having fun. I play sloppy as can be a lot of nights, but hell, I have fun doing it.
Well, yeah, Jimi Hendrix. He lived in his Live at Woodstock album. There's nothing orthodox about that at all. And there's nothing planned, and there's nothing technically, precise. But what it is, it's beautiful because he's owning the guitar in his own way.
Yeah.
And that's why people love him. They don't love him because he's 100% correct.
Technically proficient. It's just, I don't know. For me, it's more vibe than it is technicality.
Yeah.
So it's been 10 years already, and you're always on the run. Do you think that there is still time and space to let a band like Blackstone Cherry grow and have a long career in the market nowadays? And is there any recipe of success based on your experience?
I think when you look at bands like Leonard Skinner and you look at bands like Motorhead that were never really commercially successful as far as radio goes and things of that nature, and then you look at a band like us, that gives us all the hope we need, because those bands did it by going out and playing live every night. You know, they built their whole fan base on playing shows and being the baddest ass players at what they did.
Yeah.
So that's the mentality we've always taken, and I think the biggest recipe for the success we've had to this point is the fact that we go out and it doesn't matter if there's 100 people in the audience or if we're at download and there's 70,000, we put on the same show. We give it everything we got, because you never know who's watching or when the last chance you're going to get to play is going to be.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many people are there. They all paid money to come see a show, so that's what we give them.
Do you think that taking the practice house that have been used by the Kentucky Headhunters since '68 brought you some good vibes and fortune, or not?
That house has as
And
much
is that
to
the
do.
house on the cover?
That is.
Yeah.
That's the house on the cover. I mean, hell, that house has got as much to do with us and our success as anything. You walk in that place and it just oozes music and soul. And
That's the first place we all played together. And it's the first place the Headhunters played together. And there's just so much history and so many great songs have been written in that house. And just, you know, experiences, and it's like a little museum, you
Yeah.
know? I mean,
A second house. Like a second house.
right, I mean, yeah,
second
it's
home.
our little, you know, it's the nucleus of, I think, our band and the Kentucky Headhunters. I mean, it's the heartbeat. So that's why we chose to put it on the cover too, is to show people our roots, and that's where we come from. That's where we go to.
So you will never leave it.
The only time we'll leave it is if it falls down, and then we'll have to rebuild it. You know,
Okay.
that's just what it is.
And did people figure out where is it and come
Some
there?
people have.
Some
It
people
doesn't
have.
have an address, so
But it's-
that's the good thing.
you kind of got to know where it is to know where it is. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, you won't just pass it by.
No.
You know, you have to know.
And I heard you, Chris, like hunting. Is that correct? Do you actually go hunting wild animals and you go, like Ted Nugent do? Or?
Not to Ted Nugent's extreme.
Okay.
And I haven't been hunting in a couple of years. We've just been busy. I had a little boy in 2012, and he takes up the majority of mine and my wife's time now. But I do hunt, but it's not a trophy thing for me. It's just I enjoy sitting in a deer stand in a tree,
Okay.
watching them come by more than I enjoy shooting anything.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I own a lot of guns, but you know, if when I do hunt, I do it with a bow and arrow. The gun makes it unfair to me. So when I go hunting, I do it with a bow and arrow and try to be as primitive as I can with it. You know, I mean, obviously my bow is way advanced compared to what, you know, the ancient bows were, but it's you know, and I don't have a problem with people hunting for the right reasons. You know, if you're hunting to eat, that's one thing. You know,
It's a matter of respect.
Yeah.
I mean, you respect animals.
oh
so-
yeah, 100%. I love animals. Like, true story. My wife and I took our niece and our son to an aquarium, and this aquarium was right on the beach, and the sea turtles the whole time were like just raising their heads up trying to get out of their enclosure because they could smell the ocean. And I said right then and there I would never go to it again. I'm not into it, man. Animals are meant to be free and wild, and you know, like there's a song that was a B-side on the record that would sum up my feeling. I mean, don't get me wrong, I eat meat, you know, and I've, you know, hunted animals and ate them, you know, but there's a song that ended up being a B-side on the record that we wrote called Iron of the Line that pretty much sums up how I feel about zoos and circus and things of that nature. You know, rehabilitation programs are amazing, but it's making sure those animals, after they're rehabilitated, get back to where they're supposed to be. We're all animal lovers. I mean, I'm wrong, I hunt, but it's for the right reason, you know.
So you've been on tour with Lynyrd Skynyrd, Bad Company, Nickelback, Def Leppard, Alter Bridge, Shinedown, Chickenfoot, Whitesnake, just to name a few. Which has been the best experience for you, or let's say the best school?
You know, we've been very fortunate, and we got to do the Lynyrd Skynyrd Bad Company tour when they did that a few years back. And that was amazing, just to be asked to be the band that they took out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's two of the most iconic rock and roll bands in history.
Yeah.
But for me, I think one of the most fun and eye-opening tours we ever did was the Chickenfoot tour. Because you see dudes that have been in the biggest bands in the world going out playing theaters for 2,500 people a night. You know, a fraction of what they played for when they were in Van Halen or
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Or the Chili Peppers. And you go out and you see them having so much fun and being so positive all the time. I remember Sammy talked to us one night because I was having a really hard time back then with, you know, debating if I still wanted to play music or not, or if I just wanted to go home and work a 9 to 5, you know. And I remember talking to him, and he really opened my eyes to everything. And it's something I'll always cherish, and I'll always remember that tour for that. Those guys were fucking awesome.
Yeah, we had to go out. We had to play on that tour, you know.
Yeah.
And those guys were just in it for the music, and they just loved it, and they were just having a great time. And it was a party on stage to them every night, and so that was inspiring because, you know, you would assume maybe at that age that yes, they're millionaires.
Yeah.
But, you know, you would assume that maybe a millionaire is never 100% happy because once you have $1 million, then you want $2 million, then you want $3 million. But for them, it was like they are just so in love with playing music that it was inspiring to see. Especially, you know, those dudes are. Sammy's 65 years old,
Yeah.
you know, and gets up there and acts like a teenager. So it was like
The same thing can be said for the Skinner dudes, though, man.
Yeah.
They've always been so nice to us, and you know, have kind of taken us under their wing, you know, a little bit.
it's been cool. We've been able to make really great friends with, you know,
And
all the bands.
Did you ever notice some of them beside, you know, the stage
Oh, yeah.
while you were playing?
Yeah.
I remember Sammy, after the first night we opened for Chickenfoot, he said, "Man, I was upstairs and I heard y'all's harmonies, and I was like, I gotta work for it tonight." And I was like,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
whether he means, you know, just the fact that he said that, I mean, you know, just, that's cool. And
Every time we play with Skinner, you know, the guys are always on side stage watching.
yeah.
You know, even if they play right after us, they're watching. It's amazing.
Okay, last two questions. Is the live DVD, Thank You Living Live, the best showcase of a Blackstone Cherry performance, or is still better to come and see you live?
It's still better to come see us live, but the thing about that DVD is it's 100% live.
Yeah, we didn't go back.
It's not Kiss Alive. We didn't go back and fix it.
Chris mixed it all,
Yeah.
so I can tell you the truth. I mean, it's no vocals were fixed, no guitars were fixed. We wanted it to be something.
Live.
If something messed up, then it's messed up. You know, it's live. It's what it's supposed to be. But yeah, it's still obviously better to come see it. You know, experience a live show. But right now,
It is a great representation, but there you can. I love YouTube, and I love being able to go check out, you know, bands playing new songs or seeing video footage of us. But a camera is never going to replace the feeling of standing in the room.
By the way, Kiss Alive wasn't, you know, the only
Oh,
live
no,
album
I
from
know.
the 70s,
I
which
know.
was
We just like to
retouched
say
in
that.
the
I know. It's
studios.
just fun to say that.
I know, Kiss Alive is just a fun one to say.
Okay. On the new album, there's a song called Feeling Fuzzy. Looking back, was your career like a roller coaster ride? And thinking that you could possibly have another 10 years like this is stimulating or scary?
I think it's stimulating. I mean, yeah, we've had some rough patches to where shit got a little crazy, but it makes you who you are, you know? And I got asked yesterday, I was doing an interview, and they said, what would you change about your career if you could go back? And I said, nothing. Hell, it's what made us who we are. It's what got us this far. You know, I'm a firm believer in you leave the past alone and look towards the future, because if you could go back and change something, it'd throw the whole balance off and something wouldn't be right. But I can only hope that we have another 10 years as great as the first 10 years.
So why after this interview, the viewers should go immediately buy Kentucky, a copy of Kentucky?
Yes.
It's just an honest
Yes.
representation of rock and roll. You know what I mean? Like it's the most honest representation of our music we've ever been able to put out, and there's not a lot of just rock and roll anymore.
Yeah.
It's all subgenre and shit.
This is a solid rock album.
Yeah.
It really is.
And you really believe in what you're doing, so
Yes.
that's the most important thing, that comes. So thank you very much, guys, for
Thank
your
you.
time,
Thank you.
for the interview, and see you soon.
Cool.
We will be
Thank you.
back in Italy, I hope,
Oh
very
yeah.
soon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.